Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, all viewers here today. It's a Sunday night. Have to apologize. We were due to start half an hour earlier, but as you get the usual sort of challenges with the live shows, things happen. Hey ho, here we are. Apologies for the late start. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we shall be discussing the topic of the seal of prophethood and the position of the Deobandi sect on it. Alhamdulillah, we have a number of brothers on today. First of all, 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗓𝗘, who is our expert speaker on the topic of the Deobandis. How are you, brother? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I'm doing good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Good, good. We have Sayyid Ali. Sayyid Ali, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
And we have brother Sayyid Raza. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam. What are you saying?
So I have to say, you see, normally we know it's normally the three of us that do these shows, but because we noticed that Sayyid Raza, every time he does any show, he gets so many hits. We don't even have to buy subscriptions. We thought we might as well just get you on.
I'm subscription man, you get me? You don't need to buy it, bro.
Exactly. We don't need to do that. I was thinking to myself, at some point, I might have to start sort of balancing something sharp on my nose and trying to sort of increase viewing figures, but we don't need to now that you're here.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. I was going to say, sorry, but today's topic has come about because what happened was the Deobandi duo. They had been attending Hyde Park. I'm not sure if it was once, it was twice. I'm not sure the background, but what happened was when they'd been attending Hyde Park, I assume it was on one session. They'd been filming and sort of mocking Shia beliefs, etc. And then they've been uploading them sort of like a slowly sort of drip feed for their viewers, and they're look at this, attacking Shias on a certain types of references. And you know something, we've been having quite a lot of comments. People are saying, oh look, the dynamic duo, they're producing all these references and mocking you, and you guys are doing nothing about it. Well, as you know, that we did have one show where we addressed one of the objections. Inshallah ta'ala, we will try to address some of them throughout this series on the Deobandis. As for the more detailed sort of mockery that they've done, let me give you these. I'll give you an example. You need to understand that a lot of people are saying, why we are not addressing it straight away. You know what? I had my nephew, niece that stayed over for the weekend. And you know what? When you've got young kids that stay over, they leave a right mess. They've got toys everywhere, chocolate on the floor, this, that, X, Y, Z. And, you know, part of you're tempted to say, okay, you know what? I'll clean everything up right now. And, you know, so whilst they're here, I'll do it every time there's a bit of rubbish on the floor, there's mess. But you know something? Then after a while, you know, when you're an uncle, after a certain number of years, you get this experience to say, I'll tell you what, when they all leave, I'll tidy all the mess up together. Because at the moment, they'll drop something, I'll tidy up, then they'll drop it again. Let them just go in a few hours, and then I'll do a proper tidy up. And inshallah ta'ala, we'll use the same approach with the dynamic duo. They've managed to try to leave a lot of mess on the carpet. And inshallah ta'ala, once they feel that they've completed that task of theirs, we'll start doing the cleanup job. Now, the topic itself today, let's deal with one of their mockeries. They had great fun. You know, they think they're a comical duo when they attended Hyde Park, and they decided to present a reference. Wham, bam, a reference that we haven't seen before. I have to say, these guys think that we're stupid. I know for a fact, brothers like myself, 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗓𝗘, Sayyid Ali, Sayyid Raza, you might not be aware of this, but certainly our experiences are certainly from myself and Sayyid Ali, for particular 10 years on research. I know for a fact what references they're going to use, what books they're going to use, what scans they're going to use, because these guys are straight out the textbooks of 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗥 and the sort of text that they use and the mockery that they use. So I know exactly those of your sort of 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗙, that the books that they've written against the Shias, you're using those references.
Could you
anyway,
mention, for the viewers, that 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗥 is actually a terrorist group that I'm sure these lot actually support behind closed doors?
Well, we're not going to make any conclusions, but it doesn't surprise me in terms of the views, in terms of the referencing that they have, and the poor referencing. You can give the example. I mean, the one that we had a couple of weeks ago, say the way they mentioned the caliphate of the first two caliphs. Nabi Pak talking about it from Tafsir Qummi. That's classic sort of textbook misquotation.
That one, I'm waiting for an answer for that. I'm waiting.
Which we await their answer. You guys are saying that we can't respond, and we want to. They keep getting all sort of bullshit, trying to debate with X, Y, and Z. Well, why don't you come back and respond to that and explain why you lied? In any case, leave that aside. Let's park that for a moment. Let's talk about that one topic where they thought was hilarious when they came down to Hyde Park. It is a reference, and let's have a. Do produce it, say that. Show the viewers today this hilarious reference that's really embarrassed the Shias, and I wasn't sure whether I can ever come on any show again. Do produce it, please.
Give me a minute. I'm just going to screen share it. Give me a second. Give me a sec. Let me just bring it up. I apologize. Just trying to find a way to. Give me a second, boys. Is my voice coming through fine?
Yes, Sayyid, yes.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, brilliant. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Sayyid, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, I'm going to play the audio. Let me know how it sounds. Sorry, let me just turn the volume up.
Their books. Number one, Baqir Majlisi. Baqir Majlisi is a very, very important scholar in the 12th century, known as the finality of Hadith scholars according to the Shia. Look what he narrates regarding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, it is narrated on the authority of Imam as-Suduq that for several days after the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his mother had furnished no milk for his sustenance. Abu Talib applied the child to his own breast, in which the Most High, for the special purpose, caused milk to appear abundantly. He was breastfed by a male.
Just on a side note, the reason why the brother is actually smiling here and finding it funny, he's obviously smiling about the fact that these guys are not even aware about what's written in their own literatures. But anyway, let me carry on playing the clip.
Hello, can you tell him the page number? Tell him the page number. Are you insulting? Okay, what's the page? Can you tell the camera the page number? Page what? Listen, page 50. Page 50. Barakallah fi. Okay,
so as you can see, the reference that's been presented is taken from. Can you see me? Does my screen come up? Okay, so as you can see, the reference that they presented. Sorry, hold on, give me a second. Can you see me though? Because I've turned the video off now.
I can see you. But...
Yeah, Sayyid, can see you. Yeah.
So the reference in question here is taken from Hayat al-Qulub. I think he said page number 50, because Hayat al-Qulub is a famous book written by Allama Majlisi. It's a 3-volume book which is available in English online. If you Google it, it's there in English. Allama Majlisi never really sieved through those reports which we consider to be authentic. You have to understand this. The individual was a historian to some extent. So what he did was he compiled pretty much, every type of narration, and he included it within these works. He didn't really, he wasn't strict in his methodology in terms of only recording those reports which are deemed to be authentic. In fact, he included many Sunni narrations within Hayat al-Qulub. So the original reference, I'm going to share it with you now. The original reference is taken from Al-Ghafi, as he mentioned. Okay, so the tradition is as follows, and this is from Al-Ghafi. I'm going to skip the narrators. I'm going to go right to Abu Hamza from Abu Basir, from Abu Abdullah, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who said the following: when the Holy Prophet was born, sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, he remained for days without milk. Abu Talib alayhi salam himself breastfed him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent milk through his breasts. It continued for several days until Abu Talib alayhi salam found Halima al-Sadiya and the child was given to her. So this is originally from Al-Kafi, volume 1, page 488, hadith number 27. So, you know, we have nothing to hide. That's fine, no problem. We'll present the narration. This is from Al-Kafi, and this is the original source of that narration that Allama Majlisi relied upon when he recorded in the article. Can you see my screen, guys? Is it zoomed enough?
Yes, Sayyid. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so now in terms of this report, Sayyid Zaidi, what do you have to say about this?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وهو خير معين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. Before we go through it, so I want to answer this thing both in terms of the sanad and both in terms of sanad and matan, in terms of the chain of the narration and in terms of the text of the narration. We would be answering both of that. But before we go through it, like the hilarious thing is, and you guys would second me on that, is the astaghfirullah and those voices that are coming from across, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really hilarious, right? And I really, really don't doubt about like the people that are standing around them are obviously ignorant people. They don't know their own literature, our literature, and you won't expect them to know much, but I would expect from these two shaykhain that they would know things properly, right? But unfortunately, the dishonesty that they are committing is Allahu Akbar, like it's really, really like it's not good that the things that they do. Yeah.
But to be honest with you, it's not
so they quoted
shocking. It's not shocking, but anyway.
Yeah, but it's like shocking. Sometimes it's such a shocker. Or would they have an objection to it, right? Anyways, we'll go through it inshallah bit by bit. So firstly, same Allama Majlisi that he quoted from Hayatul Qulub. Hayatul Qulub is a text in Farsi. So the book was written in Farsi, and then the book it's translated into Urdu, English, and as far as I know, I think in Arabic too. But the original book is in Farsi. And he has another book, Miratul Uqul fi Sharh Akhbar Ali Rasul. It's a really, really big book, which is commentary on Al-Kafi. So these were his notes that he would make or when he would be teaching, and he would grade the hadith, he would give some explanation, and just those explanation. The modern version that we have is in 26 volumes and was printed. The old version was printed in 4 volumes. Just for the information for our viewers, right? So Allama Majlisi has written a book, and he commented on the hadith of Al-Kafi. So mentioning this hadith, which is hadith number 27, he says in his book Miratul Uqul, volume number 5, page number 252, he says Al-Hadith As-Sabi'u wal-Ishrun Dha'if. This hadith is Dha'if. Yani the sanad of this hadith, the sanad of this tradition and the report is not authentic, it's weak. And there are details, obviously, from as far as I'm concerned, my main answer won't be the sanad thing. My main answer would be the textual thing. But just for the information, like you would know, like when they are asking us to debate and to bring the narrations, they're always like, bring only the sahih narrations, only the authentic one, and you cannot quote from the weak narrations, and you would quote from the original books.
Hey, Zeddy,
But yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. In fact, what they try to do now is they try to play a rather ridiculous game where they say, oh, well, we don't even consider your books to be authentic. Well, we don't consider your books to be authentic. Does that mean we pick up any book and start quoting from it? And just as the way you expect standards for yourself, we likewise also accept the same standards for us. Simple.
Absolutely. And as far as I remember, Sayyid Ali, I have a reference, we'll share in future program. They have the big scholar, they have a really huge scholar, Zubair Ali-Zai. He's a Salafi scholar, and his gradings are like the modern English translation that is being printed by Sunan ibn Majah, 𝗙𝗢𝗧, and other. His gradings are being taken. He has mentioned in his own writings that we should only quote the hadiths of Shias that are authentic. We shouldn't quote any weak narrations of them, right?
Wow.
As Shia should only quote authentic narration of Sunnis, right?
Wow.
Whether you would agree or disagree with him, at least he had that honesty of
He sounds
making
like
a manhaj, a methodology. right? But I really don't have any problem them quoting this too. But I'm just saying, have a good balance, right?
Yeah.
The mizan that you have, it should be like same for you and same for us. It shouldn't be one for you and one for us. They're quoting from Hayatul Qulub, remember? And if we would quote from like the the secondary and those books, they would be, oh my god, the Shias don't know the primary books and whatnot. They should have quoted from, like, let's suppose from Sunan al-Qutni, from Mustadrak al-Hakim, from Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and these books. But when it comes to them, they're quoting Hayatul Qulub. And Hayatul Qusahbi, Hayatul Qulala Majlis is mentioning from another book. So again, I just said I pity for their scholarly research, right? It's just like copy and paste, and presenting it as if they're like really intellectual and really good in our books. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Anyways, we'll go forward, inshallah. The second grading that I have is from Sheikh Muzaffar, Sheikh Abdul Hussein, Sheikh Abdullah al-Muzaffar. He has a commentary on Usul al-Kafi. It's called Ash-Shafi fi Sharh Usul al-Kafi. It's volume number 5, page 105, page number 574. It's printed from Mawsusat al-Tarikh al-Arabi, Beirut, Lebanon. He says about this hadith, ضعيف Ibrahim ibn Muhammad سيأتي برقم إلى الآخر. So he also has graded this hadith ضعيف because of a narrator, Ibrahim ibn Muhammad al-Thaqafi. So the narration has two problems. Firstly, there's a narrator, Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ini, famous Waqfi narrator, and it's termed weak and kadhab by a lot of scholars. And second is Ibrahim ibn Muhammad al-Thaqafi, is another narrator that's to be looked upon. So this is our answer when it comes to the chain of the narration, right? So presented two gradings, and obviously I'm again saying, and for the viewers, my real here, like even if the sanad would have been authentic, we would have answered it really easily. But I'm just trying to reflect here the double standards of the Quran.
Okay, say it. Let's just make them happy, right? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, this tradition is authentic. Now what? Let's have a look at the book.
Yeah. What? So what? So inshallah, Sayyid Ali, go forward, and I think now we would be presenting you some of the stuff from their books, in which they have given ihtimal. Okay, there are two things. One is the possibility, the ihtimal. The other thing is bil fi'l. Yani, actually, it's happening, right? So they have mentioned both in terms of al-ihtimal and both in terms of an incident happening in which male can breastfeed, like a male person can breastfeed like a child. So now we would be quoting you their narration, or even the masalatul fiqhiyya, where they are giving the possibility of male breastfeeding a child.
Exactly. So
right. So here we just want to mention that it is khariqul ada. Like, this is a special blessing from Allah. Even if it happened, we're not sure it happened or not. Even if it happened, it's khariqul ada. It's like, it's not usually that would go, because it was a special moment. Whatever he bestowed to anyone, like whether you would have a problem with all the mu'jizat and all the other things that would take place, and you would just say, oh, this is not happening regularly with the people, so you would be doubting everything. Would you doubt what happened with Isa? Would you doubt what happened with Ibrahim? Would you doubt with what happened with Musa alayhi salam, all the prophets? If you come with this logic, we have to deny everything what happened, right? But anyways, we'll present, inshallah. Sayyid Ali, go forward and present us something. What's in their books?
Okay, sure. So this is from Khatib al-Baghdadi in his Tariq al-Baghdad, volume 15, page number 146 to 147. And he says, Ahmad ibn Auf says that I heard my father and uncle saying that we were sitting with Yazid ibn Harun at Ja'far's garden, and we saw a mixed-colored tall man that he had a baby in his hand that was suckling the man. The man said to the baby's mum, give him birth. The man said that the baby's mum gave birth to him and died in a deserted land. I took the baby to my nipples, and Allah blessed it with sustenance in the form of milk. The narrator's father and uncle said, we saw him and his breasts were stretched. This is from Tariq al-Baghdad, volume 15, page number 146, 147. So mashallah, this individual had big breasts that were practically stretched, and he had the ability to breastfeed his own child. So it doesn't just stop there.
Say it. This is the thing that I want to mention, right? If you have a problem, like these are the things that are not the norms, right? These are exceptions. But if you would have problem with these exceptions, why is the same thing mentioned in your books? And why wouldn't you, have the same astaghfirullah and things?
Yeah,
I think when
mashallah.
this scan will be going to them, they should first say astaghfirullah, read it to their listeners, right? And then say, okay, this was our mistake. We shouldn't have done it. And they should have this much intellectual honesty. And they should apologize to the viewers of this complete dishonesty.
Astaghfirullah times 100.
No. Astaghfirullah is going to come. The astaghfirullah part.
Oh, sorry. Did I do it early? Sorry.
Yeah. Just wait. So
okay.
the reference is there for the viewers to see.
So say it.
Yeah.
Say it. Now I'll be quoting, inshallah, which will be from 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗧𝗑𝗦. 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗧 is a famous Maliki textbook, and every Maliki is just like Al-Hidayah for
Hanafis.
Ahnaf, Shami for Ahnaf, or other book like Kitab or other books like for Shafi'i and other people. It's a basic Fequhi text, right? So, and it's one of the most authentic Malik's texts, right? It's not a random book that we're quoting from 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗧𝗑𝗦, which is a really highly relied upon text of Maliki fiqh. So the narrator says that قال ما سمعت من مالك في هذا شيئا ولكن أرى أنه لا تكون الحرمة في الرضاع إلا في لبن بنات آدم. ألا ترى أنه بلغني عن مالك أنه قال في رجل أرضع صبيا وضر عليه إن الحرمة لا تقع به وإن لبن الرجال ليس مما يحرم. So the translation goes as Malik ibn Anas. So Sayyid Ali, read the translation.
So Malik says that the hurma owing to suckling can only be from the milk of a woman. Don't you see that it came to me by Malik that when a man breastfed a baby and kept on doing it, then the relations doesn't take place. In other words, if a male suckles a child, then that child does not become mahram for that male. And that's the narration, basically. That's from page number 97, volume number 5.
Astaghfirullah.
No, wait.
Oh, sorry.
Wait. It's a bit too early.
Okay, right at the end. Okay, cool.
So now coming back to the last part of it. So that's from the Fiqhi perspective, and we've got another scholar. Sayyid, do you want to continue? Sayyid Zedi?
Yeah. The translation goes as verily man's milk can't prove hurma, which means that the thing that we want to prove is that he is giving a possibility of man breastfeeding a baby, right? So it is something that it is mentioned as an ihtimal. It can, and obviously fiqh only talks about the things that are possible in the real world. They won't talk about the really, really impossible things that would happen. And fiqh are for the people that fiqh are usually for the masail that are possible. So Malik giving this ihtimal means this is not something which is concocted by Shia for Abu Talib specifically, alayhi salam. So the third reference that we want to use is from a really famous scholar Nawawi in his famous book Rawdat al-Talibin, volume number 6, page number 419. He says he's discussing about the hurma issue. So he says al-awwalu fi arkanihi wa shurutihi amma al-arkan fa thalathatun. الأول مرضع المرضع وله ثلاثة شروط. الأول كونه امرأة فلبن البهيمة لا يتعلق به التحريم فلو شربه صغيران لم يثبت بينهما أخوة ولا يحرم لبن الرجل أيضا على الصحيح وقال كرابيسيو يحرم. Yes, Said, go with the translation.
So I'm going to skip to the main part, and there's plenty of time for the viewers to go back and read this text. But as you can see, the last part is the most important part, and it says, similarly, a man's milk, as per the correct opinion, can't constitute as hurma, although as per Imam Qabrasi, it will constitute as relation. So according to...
Say it. It's as per Imam Qarabisi, and he's a really, really famous scholar. Go ahead.
Exactly. So according to him, it does make the relationship. It does make the suckling the child does make the relationship there. So as you can see, the scholars have even given fatwas, legal verdicts, fatwas based on this, saying that there is a position within inside them that if a male suckles a child, there's a form of relation brought in that type of suckling. Now comes to the last final part. This is quite an interesting reference. Say, did you want to read Arabic or do you want me to?
Yes, Sayyid Ali, inshallah. So the scholar is Muhammad bin Yahya al-Halabi. It's a famous book, and I'm pretty sure that Deobandis and Brelvis, Deobandis specifically, will know these books too. It's called 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗕 في مناكب عبد القادر, book on the merits of Abdul Qadir Jilani. He's called Ghawthul Azam and whatnot, and Indo-Pak community. He's really, really famous. He was a Hanbali scholar, and he's buried in Baghdad. So we have scholars coming from Indo-Pak to visit his grave in Baghdad, the Sunni scholars there. So really, really respected scholar and their saint. So the author mentions, let me read the Arabic text, inshallah. وقال رضي الله عنه, Abdul Qadir Jilani says, رأيت في المنام كان في حجر عائشة أم المؤمنين رضي الله عنها وأنا أرضع ثديها الأيمن ثم أخرجت ثديها الأيسر فرضعته فدخل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The text says وسلم, I'll recite as وآله وسلم. فقال يا عائشة هذا ولدنا حقا. Yes, I'll go through the translation.
So the tradition says, Abdul Qadir Jilani states that I saw myself in a dream, sitting in the lap of the mother of the faithful Aisha, and that I was suckling milk from her right breast. She then fed me from her left breast. At this point, the Prophet ﷺ appeared and said, Aisha, he's my real son, in the literal sense.
I think
Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah.
Absolutely.
Imagine Shia even mentioning Aisha's name would be a problem, and they would say, oh, the Shias say such bad things about al-Mu'mineen as per them, Aisha. But what about
that same
Abdul
thing in a
Qadir
Shia book?
Jilani?
Find that same thing in a Shia book. Came over.
Yeah, Abdul Qadir Jilani. Okay, the problem people might say, oh, was a dream. Would you mention this dream to public? Like, does it make sense? Like, should I?
Yeah, they can't say this. Do you know why? Because they have a hadith in Sahih Muslim where the Prophet ﷺ says himself that anybody who's seen me in a dream has in fact seen me. So this means
Ahsant.
This means that so they stuck. Either they have to condemn Abdul Qadir Jilani for saying this, because remember, he didn't suck on one breast, sucked on the other breast as well. This is disgusting. This is blasphemy. These books should be burnt. They insult the mother of the believers. They're talking about insulting the mother of the believers. Is this not an insult?
It's a huge insult. I would say.
People, I dare you, sheikhs, to make these type of stories about your own mothers to the neighbors. Have some shame for the wives.
Yeah, please. If two sheikhan of Deoband can mention about such, can they? Okay, I'm not saying this. Okay, let me not say this. But can they dare mention anything about their own sister? Even in the lightest term, we're not talking about like the right one and the left one. نعوذ بالله من ذلك. Lakin, what I'm saying right now is even mentioning your name of your mom or your sister in such a way. What do you want to prove? What anyone want to prove when he would say, "Oh, I sucked this one, then I sucked the other one"?
Yeah, but hold on, she's al-Mu'mineen, so why was she suckling him anyway?
Yeah, that's a really valid point.
She's mother of believers. She didn't need to do that anyway, and the Prophet wouldn't need to say, "Yeah, he's my real son" in a literal sense. Come on, be realistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have some shame.
If this narration was read out in Speaker's Corner and from a Shia book, what would everyone do?
Oh my word, they're trying to find the first Shia and beat him up. Yeah, that's what they'll do. Let's take revenge.
Let's see the answer for this now. I'm waiting for the answer for this.
Yeah.
No, I mean, unfortunately, I think, to be honest, like, I wouldn't have mentioned that, even though I know how, like, what kind of reference is this and how can we use that, but just for the sanctity and just to make sure that, Muslims And generally, like we reference, trust me, it really bothers us if someone present this kind of reference.
Yeah, I mean,
even though we have differences with some historical personalities and we have our own proofs, but trust me, we just don't like if someone mentions her like this.
It's true. It's still not acceptable to mention Aisha in that manner anyway. Like, we might have a clear issue with her in regards to her enmity towards Mullah Ali, but that's nothing to do with this kind of stuff. Do you get it?
Point is, we might have differences with her, but
this is Bagharti in the highest order. These people have no shame whatsoever on the wives of the Prophet.
Yeah, but they act like they do.
And they say Shias, oh, you Shias, you accuse Aisha of doing indecency. Astaghfirullah. What are you guys saying about the wives of the Prophet here?
Yeah.
But Sadat, my point is, guys, even if you go to a speaker's corner, if situation comes in, try not to bring this reference.
No.
Wallahi, it hurts me. It hurts me so much. Not to bring this reference. Only as a last resort, if people are bugging you so much, and if you really want to show them, okay, boys, we know your references too. We just don't want to bring it over because there are non-Muslims watching the program. There are non-Muslims in Hyde Park, and trust me, by bringing this thing in, you'll be just giving them so many chances to attack whatever they would.
Yeah. Shame on them. Shame.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway, astaghfirullah. I'm gonna pass it on to you guys.
Thank you very much, Sayyids, all of you, for your contributions on this section of the discussion. I think that really was our introduction, almost like a preface, because we did say that we would have every show that we do, we will try to address an objection, and then we'll have the main cleanup show later. Alhamdulillah.
If they raise an objection on this issue, we will do a whole hour show with at least 25 references from your own scholars who've not said something similar about the mothers of believers, Aisha, but at least where they've said that such type of suckling is permitted even for adults. I challenge them to even raise an objection on this. I promise you, we will do a whole hour show just on this topic alone.
Yeah,
it's true. You know something, it's a topic that I've always not wanted to do. But if they want to press our buttons, then it will happen.
We kept stuff hidden up till now. You know, there was things which I was talking about Sayyid Zaidi before the start of the show. I was like, "Can you bring this up?" He goes, "No, there's no need to. Ask him right now." So I'm telling you guys, please have some shame before you start shouting at astaghfirullah, and all this and that. Have a read of what your own books say.
Sayyid, there's a famous quote that goes in Urdu as if Hayadar ne haya ki behaya samjha dar gaya. You know, like we are just trying to, not to mention a lot of things. Trust me. Don't you guys should know this, that we have ample of references, but we have our Zamir with us, and it doesn't allow us to present it like just going on for an attack. But if you guys attack us, then make sure that the counter attack will be such that you would be losing your audience too in doing that. At least have some etiquettes while you come for the debate, please. I'm just requesting from these Sheikhain and other people.
Absolutely, fully agree. So thank you very much. So basically, the real topic today was going to be the topic of the seal of prophethood and the position of the Deobandis. Why this has come about? Sayyid Ali, do you actually have a video about the issue that they raised?
Let me see. Let me do some digging. If you carry on, let me see.
Let me carry on. So basically, let me just give a little bit of background, brothers and sisters that are listening live right now. Obviously, we have a difference on the school between the two sects on the position of imamate. As Shias, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after the Prophet, the imam is either appointed by the Prophet or by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that individual is there to lead the ummah. Okay? The Sunni position is that the successor of the Prophet is the Caliph, or they could use the term imam as well, interchangeable. And essentially, there's different methodologies whereby they are appointed. But on the whole, the crux of it is it's the right of the people, not of Allah or His Rasul. Okay? So this is where the two schools of thought split. And because we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, imamate that He gives, it's a divine rank. We believe that in the same way that prophets are given powers which are part and parcel of their role as prophets, we believe the same goes with the Imams. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows upon them knowledge. He bestows upon them miracles, and with which they perform their tasks as the Imams of the over the Ummah. Now, that really should not be a contentious issue, but it has become one, because we note that the dynamic duo, the Shaykhain, have actually, again, straight textbook stuff from 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗔𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗔 book, 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗣𝗅𝗍𝗍. I can tell you which books they've been using. They've also been using some of the books of the Deobandi. Yeah, I know, because I've read those books as well. So essentially, they're saying that they believe that this concept of imamate is actually a de facto extension of prophethood. And astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Look, the Shias are no different to the Qadianis. They believe in imamate, which is really a cover. It's actually prophethood, a continuation of it. So that's what the issue is. Sayyidari, have you found that there is an actual
I've got the clip.
Video?
There is
Isn't there?
There is a clip, yeah. The only
Have you got it?
It's a 3-minute long clip, so I don't know whether or not you want me to play
I think you should, please. You know, we've got time. I know we started late anyway, but it'd be nice for the audience to understand why we dedicated today's show for this rant of the Shaykhain. Do you have it? Can you run it?
Yeah, you should be able to see my screen. Can you see my screen?
I can indeed.
Okay, great.
Don't worry, the 3 minutes will go by.
Just bear with me. You should see my screen clearly now.
Yeah, it's clear.
All right, let me know if the volume's fine.
Brother's question is very, very weighty, mashallah. He said, can I give him some deeper understanding regarding what Shia scholars have written and said is the difference between a prophet or the Prophet and an Imam, if any. So I have here in front of me volume 26 of 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗦𝗙𝗧𝗓, and this is by 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗥𝗧, and he was an any small scholar. He was a big scholar, a big muhaddith of the Shias, and very reliable. Here he says, وبالجملة لابد لنا من الإذعان بعدم كونهم عليهم السلام أنبياء وبأنهم أشرف وأفضل من غير نبينا من الأنبياء والأوصياء. الله أكبر. In other words, what he's saying is that we submit ourselves and just we're made to believe that there's no difference between a prophet and an imam. Not only that, they are higher in status than every prophet and every messenger besides our Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he says, ولا نعرف جهة لعدم اتصافه بالنبوة إلا رعاية جلالة خاتم الأنبياء. He says that I can't think, or we don't find any angle of not being allowed to call them prophets. In other words, we should be allowed to call the Imams prophets. But there's only one thing, one consideration that stops us from calling them prophets, and that is respect for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what did he say? He goes on to say, وَلَا يَصِلُ عُقُولُنَا إِلَى فَرْقٍ بَيِّنٍ بَيْنَ النُّبُوَّةِ وَالْإِمَامَةِ. He says that our minds and intellect does not reach a difference between prophethood and imamat. In other words, prophets and imams, they are exactly the same. The only difference is the name. My question to you, brother, is if somebody's saying so and so has everything same as a prophet, he's actually naturally he's got distinctive qualities like a prophet, all his attributes of prophet, but we can't call him prophet because of respect for the Prophet. I ask you, brother, is there any difference between that person and a Qadiani? Even Qadianis play word games when it comes to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. They don't say clear cut or straight away to those that give dawah to everybody in the Prophet. They'll start off by saying Mujaddid, then they'll say Mahdi, Isa alayhi salam, then they'll say An-Nabi, but non-Tashri and non-law-bearing Prophet. Yeah? So here, whether they call them prophets or Imam, it makes no difference, because he's saying there is no difference between an Imam and a Nabi. Once again, volume 26, page 82. The Shia scholar is saying Imams are greater than prophets, and the only thing stopping us from calling the prophet is respect for Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And that's it. The clip comes to an end.
Okay. Thank you, Sayyid Ali. That essentially, brothers and sisters, is why we are gathered here on a Sunday evening to discuss this 3-minute masterpiece, copy and paste masterpiece by the Sheikhan from Bradford. They thought that because we essentially, there's imamate and there's prophethood, and we're somehow playing a game, and we believe that the imams are prophets, but due to respect of Prophet Muhammad being the seal of all prophets, we've kept quiet. So this was essentially the crux of his argument. When I have a discussion later on, I want, please viewers, do keep those 3 minutes in your minds, because the particular purpose that he had there was to try to present us as tantamount or on par, or actually worse than Qadianis, because we have this concept of imamate where essentially the attributes that the imams have are just like those of prophets. So we will, inshallah ta'ala, address that segment later. But before we do that, and that will essentially be a defense of the Shia position by using the books of their scholars. Remember that. Before we do that, let's understand what the Deobandi position of prophethood is and the seal of all prophethood. Once we understand that and we address that, then we will go through our defense. So I think, let's have a quick look where we are on that text. So that is over to you?
That's me. That's
on
me.
that point?
That's me.
So Raza, it's over to you.
It's me.
Raza's been quiet all this time now.
Yeah, he's been very quiet, surprisingly.
The lion's been quiet.
The lion has been quiet.
All right, cool. So, as we saw, Maulana Saab Hazrat done a takrir, done a speech in Speaker's Corner. He came all the way from Bradford to speak to a random guy. The guy was, you see the guy that he was speaking to was like, what is this guy talking about? He was blank, bro. The guy was a blank guy. And he's just like, yes, why do they believe this? Why do they believe this? All right, cool. Up. So the thing is, yeah, you know what? Also, this same Maulvi just released a, by the way, just for the viewers, you know what these Maulvis do, yeah? It's so funny. They basically get random, like, first of all, I've seen them in their videos. They get their own guys. So imagine I go with my bedroom. I go with Sayyid Ali. And I say, Sayyid Ali, ask me this question on camera and I'll answer. So they get their guys to ask them questions and then they answer it. Like, and they try and show the viewers, oh, this was randomly asked and we answered it randomly when it's all pre-planned. It's basically like EastEnders. The guy says, say this, and I'll answer it like this. So that's one thing.
It's all. Are you suggesting it's rigged like wrestling?
It's rigged like wrestling, but they know who's. But the Maulvis, who plays the Maulvis in wrestling though?
No, but listen, conveniently they have all the books ready on that same topic.
Oh, yeah, on the same topic. They're like, oh brother, very good question. I've got that book with me right now that answers the same question. So it's a complete.
It's like you know, you used to have Blue Peter. I mean, probably people too old, too young. But here's what I prepared earlier. They've got something ready there and then. Very impressed, Maulana Sahab.
Oh my god! And you know what? Now, yeah, you know what? What also surprises me, and Sayyid Zaidi and you lot will know this, yeah, is that the way these lot, like, there's a saying of don't throw stones when your own house is made of glass. Wallahi, it's like, I don't understand. Do they understand what this concept means? Do they not care? Like, I don't care. Like, I don't think they have. Not being biased, literally, there's no academia. Look, the first sources they quoted about the breastfeeding from our books. Notice how there's no concept of authentication. They think they're still living in khutbah jail times where they can just quote anything. Number two, now that they've quoted this reference from our books about prophethood, where Allama Majlisi is saying a statement and he's talking about the rank of the imams and his statement about prophets and stuff, which is obviously he's not saying that prophethood is not continued. Nothing like that was said. He's just giving his own akal and answer to whatever it is. He's not saying prophethood is not ended. How can you say such a thing about prophethood or imamate when your own scholars have laid down the foundations for prophethood not being closed? Meaning your own foundational scholars. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Qasim al-Nabiyyin. Al-Sheikh Qasim al-Nabiyyin, who is basically what we call the founding fathers of Deoband. He's a founding father of Deoband, as in anyone knows that he's basically the foundational pillar of their whole school in India.
He's like the big daddy.
Yeah, that's it. As in, this is not. I'm not quoting you local Maulvi sahab like these two Sheikhain Maulvis that come from Bradford. I'm talking about the actual Deoband. He's the foundation, and his statement became so famous in the subcontinent for what he said about finality of the prophethood, where he basically denied it. He denied the finality. It became so famous that the famous sect of what they call themselves Ahmadiyya.
Say one thing. Just in case they take that little clip of yours and they say, oh, look, these Shias, they're lying. No, what he did say, he redefined the whole meaning to this word. That's what he did.
True. So he gave it he gave it a whole new meaning. And Sayyid Ali, would you say in that meaning, he basically said that even if another prophet comes, makes no difference?
Well, let's be realistic. I mean, where did the Ahmadis come from? Who were they? In fact, their own scholars even prayed behind Ahmadi Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. They even said that the only dispute, as in we believe in the same God, but our dispute is in reference to other issues. But we can do a whole show on that later on. But I'll let you carry on, Sayyid, please.
Yeah, because look, I just want to in regards to this whole reference of for them to make a link between Ahmadis and us. It's wow, you have the most closest link to them because of this scholar I'm going to quote now. So I'll leave it to the viewers to figure out and come to their conclusion about this.
Say it before you go ahead. This is the thing that they are bringing up is basically they have a history of having cozy relationship with Qadianis, and it's such an embarrassing thing for them that because of a historical thing, they want to somehow, accuse Shias of it so that Shias would be just get busy in answering the questions and the accusations, and they don't investigate further who are the real brothers, to be honest, right?
Yeah. It's called deflection. It's called deflection. When you have a
full deflection here.
Yeah.
So, inshallah, we have a lot of proofs. I've gone through their videos too before the first and the Qadiani things that they brought up. Inshallah, we'll have a good refutation for that too. But just for my viewers and for the listeners, they just have to wait for a few more weeks. Inshallah, we'll get back to Qadiani's and Deobandi's connection in detail again. Inshallah.
Wow. Yeah. I just don't find, honestly speaking, if you have any shame, honestly, if my school believes in something and I'm proud of that belief, I would never, or even if I'm not proud of it, or there's something that's a problematic type of belief that you might hold, why would you try and bring out the same thing in the opponent's book when you believe in it yourself? So first of all, Al-Majlisi never said what Qiyaas al-Nabiyyin said. So why would you try and bring it to someone else when you believe in the same thing? Wow. So watch this. Let's go through a quotation. Qiyaas al-Nabiyyin. So before replying, I just want to state that the meaning of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, this is the verse of the Quran, must be known so that my answer can be understood fully. So in the opinion of the layperson, the meaning of the finality of prophets is that in his era is after that of the previous prophets, and that he is at the end of all other prophets. Alayhi salatu wasalam. He is at the end. But it must be obvious to those who really understand that there is nothing really great about the beginning of an era. This is all Qasim al-Nabiyyin, by the way. So when I said before replying, I'm talking about Qasim al-Nabiyyin's quote. There is nothing great about the beginning of an era. But how can it be correct to quote the verse, but he is the Prophet of Allah and he is the seal of prophethood? That's the verse of Khatam al-Nabiyyin as a verse of praise. Yes, if this attribute is not regarded as an attribute of praise, and if this station, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, is not regarded as a station of praise, then only the finality of the Prophet in respect of error can be true. Okay, so that's the first thing what he said. He goes, only respect of error can it be true. Okay, no problem. Let's continue down. So that's page 2 and 3 of that book. Yeah, let's continue down. And that's obviously the Urdu scan for the Urdu viewers. Again, anyone that wants to see it, just say it, hold it there, innit? Hold it there. Let the man see it, innit? For those who got Urdu, they can check out our video, pause it. They want scans, you can contact us. We're not shy when it comes to that kind of stuff, innit? Okay. Now, that was page 2 to 3, yeah? Same book, yeah? Page 16, yeah? Qasim al-Nabiyyin says, in short, if the meaning, and everyone can see this on the screen right now, Sayyid Ali, yeah? Make sure everyone can see it on the screen, yeah? Is your one clicked? Is hello? Can you make sure that that on the screen so that all the viewers they see that what Sayyid Ali is holding? Can they see that? Okay, you lot gone quiet. I can't hear you.
I can see the text, Said.
Oh, you
text.
can, yeah. No, you lot can see it,
text,
but on the video, everyone can see it on the video. 1 minute. We'll just make sure.
Yeah, it should be there.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, no, I can see. Alhamdulillah, I can see it. It's cool. All right, let's go back. So he mentions, in short, if the meaning of the word, meaning finality, is accepted as explained, then this finality will not be exclusively attached to the past prophets. But even, for instance, another prophet appeared during the era of the prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then him remaining a final prophet will remain intact as normal. Okay, so now, and that's obviously that's in his 𝗧𝗢𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗧. Basically, he's mentioning that even if someone came in the time of the prophet, it still won't negate his finality. So automatically, that's a problematic belief already. No problem. He doesn't stop there. Let's go forward. Sidali, go forward. Go to the next part. So that was page 16. So he said, even if someone came in the time of the prophet, it doesn't negate his finality. So then him remaining a final prophet will remain intact as normal. It will still remain as he's the final. What you want final mean? Him remaining the khatim. Because remember, he's redefining what the word khatim means. We take khatim as law. Simple as that. He's saying even if someone came in the prophet's time, it won't negate him being the khatim. Because he's basically giving khatim a new meaning. He's basically saying khatim doesn't mean last. Page 33, 𝗧𝗢𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗧𝗓, Khatam al-Nabiyyin. If, for instance, even after the era of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm saying that, he never said that, the actual salawat, and Prophet were to be born, then it will not make a difference to the finality of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even, for instance, even after the era of Prophet, if a Prophet was to be born, it will still not make a difference to that verse. That verse of Khatam al-Nabiyyin will still say as the Prophet will still stay as the Khatim, even if a Prophet came after the Prophet Muhammad. How? If anyone came after the Prophet Muhammad, then the Prophet can't be the Khatim, unless you don't take Khatim to mean the last. As in, listen, if I say Prophet is the last Prophet, if anyone comes after that, obviously the Prophet is not the last Prophet, so therefore that verse means something else. If I say the Khatim means last, no Prophet can come after our Prophet. Simple as that. What is he saying? Even if someone comes afterwards, the Prophet still remains Khatim, meaning his own new meaning that he's given it, meaning the greatness, that he's great. And this is the same definition that the Qadianis gave, the Ahmadis gave, that the Khatim means great, afdal, superior. It doesn't mean last, because the whole siyaq is just because you're last doesn't mean you're the greatest. We never said because the Prophet's the last, he's the greatest. That might be a fadila. We're not saying that's the whole reason he's the greatest. This verse is to do with finality. So those were the quotations of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the founding father of Deoband.
And thank you very much. Thank you, Sayyid Raza, for that.
Us. All right, bro, leave.
So you know what? This is a very interesting passage, because the thing is, look, what we have to understand is that.
Get Sayyid Zaidi on, man. I want to see the Qadiani connection. Get him on, bro. I want to get him on.
Yeah, now we're going to show you the connection.
No.
Sayyid Zaidi.
Put the masala in.
I think what is we're not actually doing justice to this passage. I think it would be too soon to go into the Ahmadi part. But what we need to understand is that in this statement alone, right? What we need to understand in this statement, there's a lot of facade in there. There's a lot of corruption in there, and
of course.
And the thing is, it kind of reminds you of of 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗏 when he compared the Prophet's may peace and blessings
indeed
family, his knowledge to animals and lunatics, right? So there's deviancy within that question alone, and you know, how can Khatam al-Nabiyyin claim that you know, if there was another prophet after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it would not make a difference in his finality? You know, so how ridiculous is that? I mean, why the Prophet says himself that he's the last of the prophets, and you saying that look, it wouldn't make a difference if there was any more prophets?
Yeah,
and they have the audacity to come speak as corner and say that Shias don't believe in Khatam al-Nabiyyin.
I mean, look, the Muslims throughout the centuries have always understood that Khatam al-Nabiyyin, you know, it meant that the Prophet was, you know, the seal of prophet.
Say it, Ali. Do these lot want to play that game? Who was Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadian? What community was he from before he announced his prophethood?
We're going to do a special document.
What community was he from before he announced his prophethood? Was he Sunni or Shia?
He was from their community. Definitely wasn't a Shia. So
hold on. So should I start saying Sunnis believe in? So that's one of your guys, bro. Don't bring your dirty laundry and put it on us. He's from your community, my brother.
Say it. To be honest, he in his Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani in his different books, even in his pamphlets and in ishtiharat and other things that he has mentioned, he has clearly mentioned that Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah would have. Clearly, he is saying this, and then they still dare to have Qadianis connected to Shias, and somewhat they have a really, really strange conspiracy theories that Shias were behind the Qadiani movement too. I mean, like
the Shias about no. It wasn't Shias. It was Abdullah bin Sabah. He came back.
Hey, let's it was
Abdullah bin Sabah, Sayyid Ali.
Exactly. I'm Abdullah bin Sabah. But listen,
he was in India.
I was in India and I made this sect. Yeah, I suppose. Right. So I just want to touch on these three passages because the reality is that Khatam al-Nabiyyin elsewhere he did say that look, anybody who denies that the Prophet of peace and blessings be upon him is the last and final prophets is a disbeliever. He did say this. So I have to be fair. However, the issue here.
Someone in the comments says, "Oh, his teacher was Shia."
bro. Say to be honest, he had 3 teachers. One of them was Shia, as he mentioned. 2 of them were Sunnis.
Hold on. So based on that logic, what happens now?
What happens now, huh?
Yeah. Well, based on that logic, even Abdullah.
We contributed 33%. They contributed 66%.
Based on that logic, even people like Abdullah ibn Ubay and all those Sahaba who apostated during Ghadeer War, they were Sahaba of the Prophet. Now what? Anyway, these are just look. The bottom line is,
man.
Look. The thing is, let's be realistic here. It's true that Khatam al-Nabiyyin did say that anybody who denied the Prophet being last and final prophet is a disbeliever. However, my concerns here is in particular in reference to the passages from 𝗙𝗢𝗎𝗓 where he's made several claims here. Okay, one of the claims is that he says, well, it's the belief or the view amongst the laymen, right, that the Khatam al-Nabiyyin means that the Prophet is the last and final prophets. Hello, this is the belief for Muslims.
That's not layman belief. That's not layman.
This is the belief of the Sahaba. This is the belief of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. This is the belief of the Prophet that Khatam al-Nabiyyin means that the Prophet is the last and final messenger.
Say it. When you mentioning it, a small line too, so people can understand. So आवाम के ख्याल में तो रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का खातिम होना बेईमाने है कि आपका ज़माना अंबिया साबिक के ज़माने के माबाद और इसमें आखिरी नबी है इलल आखिर मगर अहले फहम पर रोशन होगा. So layman is awam, ahle fahm. So like awam is coming versus ahlul fahm. So ahlul fahm means people with knowledge, people of knowledge, people that have understanding, right? So he's bringing layman versus people of understanding. So does that it means that laymen have no understanding, right?
Exactly.
They don't have the
exactly.
They don't have the correct understanding.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, the Sahaba, the Ahlul Bayt, alayhi salam, the Prophet himself, when he said Khatam al-Nabiyyin, he doesn't have the understanding in what it means that he's the last and the final prophet. And to claim that this is not a praiseworthy title, Allahu Akbar. He even said this as well. Am I correct in hearing that he said that this title is not even something special about? It's not even a special title to be.
If it's taken as the last, if it's taken as the last, it's not special.
What kind of rubbish is this? This is an honor for the Prophet that he's Khatam al-Nabiyyin.
Sure. Just want to mention one thing. Ya Ali, anta minni bimanzilati Haruna min Musa illa annahu la nabiyya ba'di. لا نبي بعدي لا نبي بعدي. Right. So my question is Prophet doesn't have understanding? Like he na'udhu billah.
Say Zaidi, I just want to make
Deoband are the truth. Deoband are the truth. Haq Deoband. Haq.
Say Zaidi, I just want to make a quick couple of points here before I conclude on this point, because I think it's important to stress on these passages and his statements. It's not just the fact that, the bottom line is, look, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, okay, if you read his books, he actually at some points denied the fact that he's claiming prophethood for himself. He did deny it in certain passages, saying that people are claiming that I'm a prophet, I'm Jesus, etc., etc. Okay, but later we see that he did make a claim to being a false prophet, and he did make a claim to be the Mahdi, and he did make the claim that he is the promised Messiah, etc., etc. But the bottom line is, these particular passages of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, these are passages of complete and utter disbelief. These particular statements, it doesn't matter elsewhere that he said that, anybody who denies the finality of the prophet is a kafir. It's irrelevant. He could pray, he could fast, he could do as many hajjs as he wants. But on this particular statement, unless he repented from this particular blasphemy, this kufr, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is choosing these words for the holy prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, and you claim that this is not some sort of fazila, this is not some sort of a special status given to this prophet, this is ridiculous. How can you claim that it doesn't affect the finality of the prophet? If I say, for now, hypothetically speaking, if I take the head off Deobandi, God forbid, yeah, would that affect his life? Of course it would. If a Deobandi woman was to commit indecency, okay, if she was to go around and commit fornication, will her committing fornication not affect her modesty? What kind of ridiculous beliefs are you guys promoting? You are the people who opened up you are the people who opened up the doors for Ahmadis, and this is what we're going to discuss now, inshallah.
Yeah. Let's get to the masala. Get to the masala.
No. The one thing that I want to mention is that when we brought this thing up, which says that, let me read the quote, which says कि तो आपका खातिम होना अंबिया गुज़श्ता ही की निस्बत खास ना होगा, बल्कि अगर बिलफर्ज आपके ज़माने में भी कहीं और कोई नबी हो, जब भी आपका खातिम होना बदस्तूर बाकी रहता है. सवाल, like, my question is this, like, problem with the conditional clause, that the conditional clause that comes in, we have the problem, as Sayyid Ali mentioned, with the conclusion that he's getting, right? If someone fornicates, right, so is he still like a good Muslim or no? If I say no, if he commits an adultery, if he commits fornication, right, then still he is a really, really good person, a respectable person as per fiqh. Doesn't make sense, right? We don't have a problem with the conditional clause. We have a problem with the natija, with the result that Khatam al-Nabiyyin is reflecting.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
Let it be known to the Maulvis that would be replying, law is used for namumkinat and law is used for impossible clause. We don't have a problem with this thing. We have a problem with the result. I just wanted to make that clear. So when you're replying, make sure you give the answer, what our accusation, what our questions are, not to something that you want to make up yourself and then you want to answer some make-up questions that you have in your mind.
You're even in a bigger dilemma, especially when his statement, when this particular passage came out, he was actually denounced by the community.
Exactly. So people, this statement is not taken new by us, by the way. Everyone's taking it in this way. So that's another thing. Anyway, say them, Zedi, go on to, let's deal with the Qadianis now.
So before we go, the reason I'm bringing is that I don't have a problem Qadianis using any reference, because they are using different references throughout the literature, throughout the things that I have read. And trust me, I have gone through a lot of their books, and I have like Ruhani Khazain, Majmu' al-Ishtiharat, Malfuzat of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani library, inshallah. One day I can show you guys, so not making up myself. And their own Munadra and Aqaid books too. So they have different quotes. And again, the problem that I have is that these three quotes that we have brought up are really, and it's basically giving them the food so they can attack Muslims by bringing up these quotes from Qasim al-Nabiyyin. Right. So this is one thing. Second is the video that has gone through in which he was trying to make a parallel between Shias and Qadianis, Shias and Ahmadis, saying, oh, Shias have the same aqidah, they believe in, like, just like Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani has some sort of chronology when he was claiming, he claimed a Messiah for himself, then Mehdi, then Prophet, Dhilli Prophet, then non-Tashri'i Prophet, then Tashri'i Prophet, then ilal akhir. Thing is, this is the reason. It's like a counter answer that I'm giving you. If you would be accusing us, then we will be showing that who Qadianis are quoting in order to prove their aqidah, right? So basically, I'm trying to prove here that if you would be throwing a stone to our house, and by the way, you haven't shown any reference here, right? We would be showing through references that who is using whose references in order to prove their aqidah, right? So here's the sample, right? It's a sample, right? When you go to a shop, you'll just get the sample. I have a lot of references that they have used, but I'm just quoting you 5 or 6 sample examples so you would know that Qadianis have been using these quotes of Qasim Nanotwi time and again. All right, guys. So I'll go through the quotes. Say it, inshallah. Let's go through the quote. So first quote that I want to bring is I'll read the name of the book in Urdu, right? Because the books are in Urdu. It's useless to translate the name of the book in English. So let's go through it. It's called Fadani Nabuwat. Fadani Nabuwat by Ghulam Rasul Sahab Qudsi Rajaki radiyallahu anhu. So Qadianis was used radiyallahu anhu for anyone that accompanied Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani or he was in in his era. So in the Nabuwat, there is a quote that he mentioned in page number 78. He says, Hazrat Muhammad Qasim Sahab Nanotwi, Bani Madrasa Deoband, Tahrir farmate hain, and then he quotes what we quoted. That's like the first reference. Second is a book from it's a really famous book, and I remember when I wanted to get book, one of the Qadiani recommended me using this book. It's from Jamaluddin Shams. It's called Khalid Dawat, Da'iyan ilallah ke liye mufid hawalejat, right? In this book, under the chapter of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, he brings up this reference from Maulana Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi, reference number 18, कि खातिम नबीन के मायने आखिरी नबी आमतुन नास का क़ीदा है, तदवीरुन नास सफ़ा number 3. So this is the second one. Third one is from Mirza Bashir. Mirza Bashir Ahmad is Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahab MA. He's also called Qamr al-Anbiya by Qadianis. He has a book called Khatm Nabuwat Ki Haqiqat, Rasul Pak Ka Adimul Misal Maqam. Adimul Misal means an extraordinary position. Just like Raza was mentioning, Sayyid Raza was mentioning how Qasim Nanutwi came up with this definition of Khatam al-Nabiyyin as of the best of the Prophet, not the last of the Prophet, right? Same way as the Qadianis have this, so they have this title. And in page number, from page number 158 to 160, he mentions the quotes from Tahdir al-Nas. Page number 3, page number 28, and all the way till page number 160. So he's using that reference. Booklet from क्या अहमदी सच्चे मुसलमान नहीं बेजवाब कादियानियों और दूसरे काफिरों के दरमियान फर्क. There is a writer, Qadiani writer called A.S. Guys, there is a. Can you mute, please? All of you, can you mute, please? Thank you. Yeah. So A.S. Musa is a guy, and he mentions page number 11 about the same quote from Qasim Nanotwi. लेकिन मौलाना मोहम्मद कासिम ननोतवी साहिब फ़िरक़ा देवबंद के बानी है, ख़ास तौर पर इनका बुज़ुर्ग और जय्यद आलिम होना किसी देवबंदी के नज़दीक मोहल्ले नज़र नहीं. इनका क़ीदा मनोअन पेश किया जाता है कि अगर बिलफ़र्ज़ बाद ज़माने नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम भी कोई नबी पैदा हो तो फिर भी ख़ातमियत मोहम्मदिया में कुछ फ़र्क ना आएगा. Right. This is the fourth reference. Fifth reference is from Mufid Hawalejat. This is a pamphlet And page number Hazrat Khatam al-Nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as Qadianis have said alayhi wasallam. Now it's interesting, they would say sallallahu alayhi wasallam, not wa alihi wasallam. And still Shias are the founders of Qadianism, right? Because we have taught them, don't say salawat ala salawat ala rasulihi faqat, right? So as I have pointed out, yeah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam is usually written by Sunnis and Qadianis, not by Shias. Yeah, so Hazrat Khatam al-Nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wasallam ka faidan. So here, page number...
Sorry to be annoying. Don't just a quick. You know, Qadianis, don't they or Mirza Ghulam? Didn't all of them believe in the Khulafa Rashidin?
Yeah, and by the way, you'll be
very Shia, very Shia.
No. The interesting thing is the pamphlet in which he has claimed Nabuwa for himself. 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗓𝗦𝗧𝗑. He said he got the Nabuwa from 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗕 se mujhe nabuwat mili hai.
𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗕 the window of Abu Bakr. Cool, that's very Shia, very Shia.
Shias would have at least said, get the Nabuwa from 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗕 from right, but anyways, this is just conspiracy theories. Finally, the last reference that I want to use is it's a booklet published by Ahmadis called 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗢 Khatam al-Nabiyyin और जमात अहमदिया का मसलक बुजुर्गान सलफ के इरशादात की रोशनी. You know, they are Salafis too. बुजुर्गान सलफ के इरशादात की रोशनी. Just saying, you know, they claim themselves as Salafis. I know they're not Salafis, but just claiming. नाशिर निज़ारत व इशाअत लिटरेचर तस्नीम सदर अंजुमन अहमदिया पाकिस्तान रब्वा. पेज नंबर 22. मौलाना मोहम्मद कासिम साहब ननोतवी मुतवफ़ा इला आखिर फरमाते हैं, आवाम के ख्याल में तो रसूल का ख़ातिम होना भी ईमान है कि आपका ज़माना अंबिया साबिक़ के ज़माने के बाद और आप सब में आखिरी नबी हैं, मगर अहले फ़हम पर रोशन होगा कि तक़द्दुम या ताख़ुर ज़मानी में बिज़ात कुछ फजीलत नहीं. फिर मकाम मदह में वलकिन रसूलुल्लाह व ख़ातिम अन-नबिय्यीन फरमाना इस सूरत में क्यों कर सही हो सकता है. हाँ, अगर इस वस्फ़ को औसाफ़ मदह में ना कहिए और इस मकाम को मकाम मदह करार ना दीजिए तो अलबत्ता ख़ातिमियत बेतबार ताख़ुर ज़मानी सही हो सकती है, मगर मैं जानता हूँ कि अल-इस्लाम में से कोई ये बात गवारा ना, किसी को ये बात गवारा ना होगी. इला आखिर. Page number 22-23, he mentions that, and these are 6 references that we have used rather, in order to prove that Qadian is in Qasim Nanotwi. And as I said, these are samples. Samples are only the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of references that they're using. And believe me, it will be really hard for you guys to answer, because it is what it is. So, Sadat, yeah.
So hold on. So therefore, we have all of those Ahmadi lot, all using Qasim. Now, like you made a good point, they can use a lot of things. They use a lot of literature from various sources, but they definitely use Qasim al-Nabiyyin. That's one thing that's agreed upon. He was like their foundational pillar that they used to justify their belief. True?
Exactly, Sayyid. Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah.
Should we get on to the fun stuff now? Like, you know, they thought this was just the start. You know what? Should we get on to the real stuff? Should we get on to the Ashraf Ali Tanwi Rasulullah business?
I think before you do, can I play a clip?
No problem. Go for it.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, please. Okay, 1 second. Let me just find it. Bear with me a minute.
I think these guys need to understand that we are responding directly to their nonsense. So it's important to play that clip.
Yeah, okay. So
a little gift for them.
Yeah, a little teaser. Hold on. Give me a second. Stay with me. Can you see? Give me a second. Sorry.
Say. Let me just make a correction.
Sure. Please.
I used the quote wrongly. I recited it wrongly, so just a correction. And
we never had that. Say again. We never had it.
Yeah. So I recited the words like I just made an error while I was reciting. It should be walakin Rasulullahi wa Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Khatam al-Nabiyyin, right? With fath. I recited with dhamma. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So we know our friends are very, mashallah, say Arabic obsessive, isn't it?
No, I think with all honesty, it's a Quranic ayah.
Can you see my
Just
screen?
wanted to make
Can you see my
go
screen?
ahead. Yeah,
Can
go
you
ahead,
see?
Sayyid. Go ahead, Sayyid. Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Okay.
Surah Al-Fath, you'll find Surah Al-Fath, you'll find فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Next surah, Surah Muhammad, فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Next surah, Surah Al-Fath, محمد رسول الله والذين معه. ده كلمة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله ووصي الله وخليفته بلا فصل. 5 parts to that kalima, 2 parts to us. Our 2 parts are in the Holy Quran. 3 parts of theirs extra are not in the Holy Quran. ولي الله ووصي الله وخليفته بلا فصل. Prove your kalima from the Holy Quran. Let's not forget about it. Please look. Whether you agree or disagree with our kalima la ilaha illallah.
That's the clip. So did he get that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we got it. But just the point here, Sayyid, sorry, brother. Just the point here. Remember that we always say to these guys, you know, have you noticed how they're trying to prove the kalma by joining together verses from one surah to another surah? You know, the correct approach is, why don't you show us La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah from one verse? Can you do that? No, you can't. But you understand, this is the sort of games that they're doing. This sort of jumping from one to another and joining. That, inshallah ta'ala, that's a separate topic. But since you're so...
Sadat, I have a question to you here. Is it Wasiullah? Did I hear it, or did he say Wasiyu Rasulillah?
That's a good point. What did he say?
Wasiullah.
He said Wasiullah.
Yeah, Allah ke wasi. You know, like he's okay. All right.
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that.
MashaAllah. All right, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's a good point, actually. He did say that. Wasiullah.
By the way, he said it. He said it twice. It's not one time thing. He said it twice. Okay. So, yeah.
So he doesn't even know the Shia kalma properly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, cool. So are we ready for the quotations?
We're ready for the warm-up act. Yep, go for it.
Because after this, I think you're finishing, Sayyid Hassan.
Yeah, so, I'll be doing the conclusion. Yeah.
So let's deal with Ashraf Ali Thanwi. Sayyid Ali's got something up. Ashraf Ali Thanwi, yeah, who's one of their, again, founding forefathers. He's the same disgraceful person who basically said, it was him that said the Prophet's knowledge is like astaghfirullah, like animals, isn't it? The ilm al-ghaib.
Yes.
I quoted that the other day still. This is the same disgraceful person who these lot look up to. And what does he look at this book? 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗥𝗧. Yeah? So that's the actual book. Go down a little bit, say that so I can see it. Go down a little bit, just so I can see the page number and stuff. Cool, yeah. So 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗥𝗧, that's in Al-Imdad, month of Safar, 1336 Hijri, page 35. What Sayyid Zaidi, what is that, like a magazine?
Yeah, it used to be a magazine, and it used to be from Thana Bhawan, where he is from, Thanwi. And yeah. So
no, it's good to have the background. It's good to have the background. So I might call you in when I ask them kind of questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Cool. So 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗥𝗧, a disciple of Ashraf Ali Thanwi. So someone who followed him, one of his followers, saw in a dream, that he is saying, the disciple saying, astaghfirullah, I'm only saying this because I'm quoting it. La ilaha illallah, Ashraf Ali Rasulullah. Yeah. So he had a dream where he was basically, instead of saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, he was saying La ilaha illallah Ashraf Ali Rasulullah. So when he woke up, he said, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Nabiyina Ashraf Ali. So basically he said it again when he woke up saying it. So when he woke up, he woke up saying that. So he said it out of the dream. This is key. To which Ashraf Ali Thanwi said, when he was obviously told about it, there is no problem in it, and the one that you are referring to, meaning myself, is a follower of the Sunnah. Now, basically, if someone had a dream like that, first of all, I don't know why you would go and tell the person. Maybe because you're, maybe you could take it out of good intentions. A dream like that shouldn't be mentioned anyway. But let's just say a dream like that has been mentioned, and you've had this dream that's obviously a very bad and messed up dream. When you've gone to a scholar such as Ashraf Ali Thanwi, instead of him saying something like, obviously this kind of dream is something that you shouldn't discuss and it's totally wrong, I am not the Prophet, just do tawbah just in case, reaffirm your faith, etc., etc. He says there's no problem in it, and I'm only a follower of the Sunnah, so it's fine. Even though the person even though the person didn't only say it in a dream, because when he woke up, he said it as well. So someone could say, "Oh yeah, but it's a dream." But hold on, he said it outside the dream. Say it, Zedi. Is that true?
Yeah. So and then when he waked up, so he said it again. Yeah.
Exactly. So he said it outside of the dream. So now that he said it outside of the dream, like that's the problem. Now I want to see the fatwa on this, by the way. The scholar says, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry, it gets better in it. We've got more in it." These are the things.
It's amazing. It's an amazing text.
Just to mention it again, it is al-imdad. It's not imdad something. It's just like al-imdad only, and it is from month of Safar, 1336 Hijri, volume number 3, page number 35, and it's published by Imdadul Matabe Thana Bhawan. That's the publisher name. Yeah, go ahead, Sayyid. Go ahead.
No, good. Everything you said, make sure you keep clarifying. Yeah, we wanna be on point with all that stuff. So make sure you keep clarifying.
But you know what amazes me is just the arrogance of this scholar. You know, a lot of people. You know what? Really, should he really publish this? If you think about it, it's not even worth publishing, is it? He's done it on purpose to show off that I am the man. Check this out, guys.
Your founding father, your Maulvi, instead of rebuking him, he says, "Don't worry about it, it's fine." And I'm only a follower of the Sunnah. If you're a follower of the Sunnah, why don't you rebuke him and say, "Stop saying stuff like that"? You tawbah for even saying something like that, because it's not only a dream. He said it outside of the dream.
Yeah, he uttered kufr.
You see, Sadat, it goes like Jawab by Ashraf Thanvi. इस वाक़ये में तसल्ली थी कि जिसकी तरफ तुम रुजू करते हो वो बेअौनिही ताला मुत्तबि' सुन्नत है. 24 शव्वाल 1335 Hijri, 1335 Hijri. All right, so thing is that तसल्ली थी इस वाक़ये में तसल्ली
in this incident, it was fine. This incident was fine.
Solace. You got solace from it.
No problem. No problem.
He said it's fine, no problem, because I'm following the Sunnah. What isn't Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam follow the Sunnah? You okay with reading Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rasulullah? But you have a problem with Ali and Waliullah? Come on, be fair with it.
And we have nas from the Quran for that. We have nas from the Quran, and the Mufassir say that Ali is the Wali. Get it? Cool.
So, yeah, I'm going to carry on featuring.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, even if we leave the Quran aside and they don't accept that, there's certainly hadiths where Mawla Ali alayhi salam is referred to as the Wali bin Badi after me. But there's no evidence of Nabi Pak ever referring to Thanvi Sahab as a Rasul.
No, the
Correct
dream.
me if I'm wrong, guys.
Done.
Yeah, it's a dream. Then he wakes up, he recites the same kufr, and Thanvi goes, "He's my man."
Yeah, he's my
guy. Chill out, dude.
Yeah,
don't worry, dude. All is cool.
Next one. Khwaja Ghulam Farid. Or is that supposed to be Farid, or is that supposed to be Farid?
Farid. Yeah.
Khwaja Ghulam Farid of 𝗙𝗢𝗧 Sharif. 𝗙𝗢𝗧 Sharif is an area in Punjab, Pakistan.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So a person came to Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗕𝗘 Chishti. I think the Brailvis want to get on us now still, and said that, "Please make me your disciple." Chishti said, "Say La ilaha illallah, Chishti Rasulullah." And that book source is Fawaid-e-Faridiyah. So obviously this is Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗔 Chishti, who's a famous Sufi that's buried in India in Ajmer Sharif, isn't it? Sayyid Zedi.
Yeah, that's from he's quoting Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢 Chishti. Just a correction, it should be page number 83. Just like a typo, we put it 73. Go ahead, Sayyid. Yeah.
Cool. So basically, Khwaja Ghulam Farid is quoting and narrating an incident about Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢 Chishti, isn't it?
Yes, Sayyid. He's quoting Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢𝗢 Chishti.
So obviously if that incident's attributed correctly to Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢𝗢 Chishti, then obviously that's Kalamat al-Kufr straight, isn't it? And Khwaja Ghulam Farid is quoting that in his book. Now when he's quoting that, the person Khwaja Ghulam Farid, he's been praised by Deobandi scholars. So this same Khwaja, I'm not talking about Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢𝗢 Chishti, because that attribute, that incident's attributed to him. Regardless if it's true or not, that's a different bahad. But in regards to the person quoting it, go on, say it.
Khwaja 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢𝗢 is agreed upon Maulana, is agreed upon scholar. No one would question Khwaja Muinuddin, but we are just quoting the author. We just quote the author.
No, yes, say it. I'm saying is that if the incident is established, that did Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti say this or not, that's the different bahath, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a different. My thing is that the Naqil or the author of the book is thiqa and is really trusted upon by Deobandis. Now,
Yes,
Deobandis have two kalima to answer now, right? One is La ilaha illallah Ashraf Ali Thanwi Rasulullah. Second is La ilaha illallah Chishti Rasulullah. Go ahead.
Exactly. Now, the same Khwaja Ghulam Farid that done knuckle of this, 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗔𝗓 Saharanpuri. Is he the same one who wrote that Taqiyya book called what is it? Al-Muhannad? No.
No, yeah. So he's a writer of Al-Muhannad, Al-Mufannad, Barahin al-Qati'ah, and Badal al-Juhud, different books that he has written.
Same one who said that Shaitan has more knowledge of or how can you say the Prophet has more ilm al-ghaib than Shaitan? Oh, Sayyid Zadi's gone? Yeah, I think he had to jump still. So Sayyid Zadi will clarify which one Saharanpuri is. So he's got the same. This is the guy that when the Deobandi scholars were scrutinized because of certain things they wrote, he wrote a book on, basically done a whole book and based it on Taqiyya and mentioned things about the Deoband school that completely opposed their other scholars just to basically sort out their image. He's praised Khwaja Ghulam Farid. He's praised this scholar. Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri praised Khwaja Ghulam Farid. So, asking you, Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri is the same one who wrote that book that says that 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗍𝗍 Qatia that says that Shaitan has more knowledge of unseen than the Prophet.
Yes, Sayyid. Sorry, there was some connection problem. I got back again. Yeah, he's the same writer. Yeah.
Cool. And he wrote that same book, Al-Muhannad, that book full of Taqiyya to hide the Deobandi beliefs.
Yeah. So same book, Al-Muhannad ala al-Mufannad. Cool. Yes, go ahead.
He praised Khwaja Ghulam Farid, the person who done knuckle of this, in his anti-Shia book, and while quoting his praise for the book. So the book's name is Hidayat al-Rashid, and that's page 835 in the new edition, and in the old edition it's page 884. So this Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri praises Khwaja Ghulam Farid, even though Khwaja Ghulam Farid had a knuckle of this. Yeah, while quoting his praise for the book. So he quotes the book, he praises it, and he praises Khwaja Ghulam Farid. So
Sayyid, I'll just cut you for 1 second. This book, Hidayat al-Rashid, is a famous book that Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri has written against us. It's an anti-Shia book that he has written against us.
Yeah.
It's also called Hidayat al-Shia, right? Or Hidayat al-Rashid ila Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Tardid Shiyat par Lajawab Kitab, and it's called Kutub al-Alam, Qudwat al-Fuqha wal-Muhaddithin, Sultan al-Muhaqqiqin wal-Munadhirin, Hadrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri. So then he mentions on page number 835. Sayyid, I just want to mention the Urdu quote, the way he has praised Khwaja Ghulam Farid of Chanchara.
Go for it.
So Khwaja Ghulam Farid of Chanchara, when he wrote this book, Saharanpuri, Khwaja Ghulam Farid of Chanchara praised the book and him, right? While he did this, Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri quoted him by mentioning Ghulam Farid Chanchara. So he says, As Janab Qudsi Ayate Faidan Intisab Qudwatul Wasilin Zubtatul Arifin Arij Ma'arij Israr Vilayat, and then he goes Talkhina wa Ta'lim Murshad Sirat Muslim Peshwa Ashab Tariqa Muqtadar Bab Haqiqat Garme Guftar Manazil Millat wa Deen Qafla Sala Yaqeen Majad Khilwat Pasand Jalwat Bayan Wahdatul Wujud ila al-akhir Sheikhna Ghulam Farid Sahibu Sallamahu. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. He's just mentioning the titles for Khwaja Ghulam Farid of Chanchara.
Wow.
So he's a big gun.
So meaning he's not just some little guy. He's a big guy.
Praise. It's like a big deal. Like interesting thing is that the comments of, or rather 7 lines, and the comments of Khwaja Ghulam Farid of Chanchara is only 5 lines, 4.5 lines, and the praise is of 7 lines. So 7 verses 4.
Does he praise that book as well?
या ये किताब जो मौलवी साहब फाजिल कामिल मौलवी खलील
Fazil
अहमद
Kamil.
साहब ने रद्द फिरका ज़ाला मुदल्ला शिया राफिदिया में
Oh
तसनीफ
yes.
फरमाई है।
Oh yes.
निहायत मदामीन आलिया से ममलू है। ममलू मीन्स फुल ऑफ ग्रेट टॉपिक्स और मुताबिक मिल्लत कुदसिया अहले सुन्नत व जमाअत के है। मैं बाद मुतालिआ इस किताब के तस्दीक करता हूँ कि जो मौलवी साहब ने लिखा है फिल असल सही और दुरुस्त है। वस्सलामु अला मन इत्तबअल हुदा अल-अब्द खाकपाए फ़ुक़रा ग़ुलाम फ़रीद चिश्ती हनफी अफ़अनहु बिकलम खुद।
Oh, he basically done tasdeeq of the book. He said, I certify the book.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. So it's very good you read that. It's not that he just praised it. He certified the contents in the book. And guess what's in that book? La ilaha illallah. What?
لا Sayyid, this book, this praise was for the Hidayat al-Rashid, that Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri. Basically, what I wanted to quote was how Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri has praised Khwaja Ghulam Farid. That was it.
Yeah.
So, and how Khwaja Ghulam Farid has praised Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri. So they were good buddies, right?
Yeah.
And they were really, they had a good relationship with each other. So when we are quoting from Khwaja Ghulam Farid, it's not something out of blue. We were just trying to put a reference on their mouth.
Meaning
It's a respected scholar.
He's not like some any guy. He's a big guy for them.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Inshallah. Go ahead with the other references.
So La ilaha illallah Kishti Rasulullah. That's the second one you have to give an answer to.
Yeah. So now, and now mention the second scholar that have praised
Lal Hussain Akhtar has said that Allah has mercy on Khwaja Ghulam Farid.
Just to mention it to the viewers and listeners, Lal Hussain Akhtar was an ex-Qadiani. He became Muslim, and then when he became Muslim, he converted to Deobandism. And when he converted to Deobandism, he wrote a lot against Qadianis. And in one of the debate that I was going through, he was one of the supporter of a Deobandi scholar against, or Railway scholar, not sure, against their debate against Shias. So he's not he doesn't have a soft corner for Shias, by the way, but he has praised Khwaja Ghulam Farid in his book, in one of his book, and that book is published in 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗦𝗢𝗔 Qadianiyat, volume number 1, page number 212. Sayyid, go ahead, Sayyid, with the third one.
Okay. Sayyid Ali, do you want to show the scan for that, or we cool?
We're fine.
Okay. Then Shah Bukhari has equated someone talking ill. So Shah Bukhari has equated someone talking ill about Khwaja Ghulam Farid to Yazid, the wretched one.
Yeah.
So basically, Sayyid Zaid, you want to explain that?
Yeah. So basically, Ataullah Shah Sahab Bukhari is really well respected among Deobandi scholars. He's called Amir Shariat. Really high title for someone. Ataullah Shah Bukhari is a famous Deobandi scholar, and he's known for his works against Qadianism, and he's known for his work for Khatam al-Nabiyyin as per Deobandis, right? So he has written, he has a book called 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗦𝗖𝗥𝗓𝗏. Now we have the 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗦𝗢𝗏 too with us, but we quoted from Tajalliyat al-Safdar from Mufti Muhammad Amin Safdar Ukadwi gathered this. And he meant
the microphone, guys. It's interrupting.
Are you sure it's me?
Definitely it's you.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
Ataullah Shah Bukhari is a famous Deobandi scholar. Just to make it easy, because there's so much referencing going on, just to give you a gist, Ataullah Shah Bukhari is really well respected in Deobandi scholars, and he's called Amir Shariat, Hazrat Amir Shariat, Sayyid Ataullah Shah Sahab Bukhari rahimahullah का मुअक्कफ अपने पीर की तारीफ करते हुए फरमाते हैं कि हर के the Farsi share that he brings up. So
and he's just talking ill about Khwaja Ghulam is like talking like Yazid,
the wretched one. Yeah, Yazid Palid, the wretched one, right?
Well, at least they call Yazid Palid then.
Yeah, Yazid Palid, and Ataullah Shah Bukhari has equated. So anyone who talks about Khwaja Ghulam Farid of Chanchara, anything bad about him, like let's suppose Sheikhain comes in and say, oh, he's not our scholar and something, so they will be just like Yazid Palid, unfortunately, as per
For them it won't be too
Bukhari.
bad anyway. For them it probably won't be too bad. They probably back Yazid anyway. But yeah, that's besides the point.
Yeah, but just wanted to quote you three Deobandi scholars. These are the top-notch Deobandi scholars, by the way, not like anyone. Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri, the Sahib al-Muhannad, Lal Hussain Akhtar is the guy that is famous for his munadharas against non-Deobandis. And the third one is Atullah Shah Bukhari. I think there's not even, it's just like me quoting Yahya ibn Ma'in or Yahya ibn Qattan. They don't need any praise. He's like
And you
really
and Ashraf Ali is obviously. So each one you've quoted are they big guys?
big guys. They're like if they don't represent Deobandism, then no one
Then
represents.
there is no Deobandi. That last quotation I've got of does Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri say anything about Shah Bukhari or no? That's it.
That's it, Sayyid. That's it.
That's it. Okay.
So that's it. Yeah.
So basically, these kalmas, they talked about what is it? 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗢. So now give an answer for this one. Give me the answer for these three Maulvis. I want to see what your answer is for these three.
From the Quran. Don't forget.
Yeah, from the Quran. I want it from the Quran, by the way. Show me Ashraf Ali Thanwi's name in the Quran.
I'm not really sure, but maybe any Sahabis Mus'haf might have these two names. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe a Sahabi will definitely have it. 100%.
Surah Haq, Surah Khala', something, inshallah. Someone might have mentioned this. And unfortunately, when Quran was being assembled, these two, La ilaha illallah, na'udhu billah. These are all sarcastic, by the way. Don't make a clip, Battle Ghadeer saying this.
Sayyid Zaidi, you believe in Tahrif.
Believe in Tahrif, right? So just want to mention this too. So these are sarcastic guys. Don't know the sense of humor for the people, so just have to mention this thing.
All right, so these lot are deaded. They're finished. They're not, I can't even take them seriously no more. They're finished. Said Hassan Bukhari or Said Ali, whoever wants to take it away, finish off the last section.
HB, I think that's yours. I think he's a bit busy now.
Go on, Said Ali, take it.
No, he's back. He's back.
What it was?
He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay. I was listening intently there.
I thought you might be reading the new kalma.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You know what? I thought because I'd ask viewers to keep in mind that reference that one half of the dynamic duo. I'm not sure whether it's Batman or Robin, whoever it was out of the two. He did. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So these are the same people who say, "Oh well, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, he says anybody who believes in another prophet after Nabi Pak is a kafir." Yet they have ascribed a shahada in the name of their founding fathers. So in reality, they're the ones who actually have claimed Nubuwah for their own leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They have claimed Nubuwah for their own leaders. That is what it all comes down to. They really have, haven't they? What do you think, Sayyid Ali?
So I think we should move on to the fact that, at the end of the day, when we talk about the concept of imama and, on the aspect that what aspect of rank, when we talk about the Imams alayhi salam having a certain rank higher than prophets, what we need to understand here is that our scholars have actually discussed this in great detail. And what
absolutely
is that there is actually, I believe, 3 different positions. I think Sheikh Mufid, may Allah bless him, he mentioned 3 different positions. It's not a creedal belief. You don't have to be, in order to be a Shia, it's not that, you have to believe the Imams are higher. The general position is that obviously we believe that the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him and his family, he succeeds everyone, okay? He's the highest of all the prophets, okay? After him, there's a dispute in terms of whether we regard the Ulul Azm prophets, meaning the prophets of Bani Israel, whether they're included in the next group, or whether or not, there are other prophets who, we believe the Imams alayhi salam are higher than them in rank. What we mean by this, in what aspect do we mean that they're higher? Hassan Bari, I think this is something important, right?
Absolutely. That's a crucial point. In what aspect are they?
Because after all, you believe lunatics and madmen and animals can possess a knowledge greater than the Prophet. So in certain aspects,
Kalimat al-Kufr.
Yeah, it is Kalimat al-Kufr, but you believe that there's certain aspects that people can have a certain level of knowledge greater than the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessing be upon him. You understand? So in certain aspects, you can, according to your beliefs, be higher than the Prophet in certain areas.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Let's find out. No, because they claimed. Let's find out if that's their belief, because they believe they try and act like they believe no one can be higher than Prophet. So let's find out.
Yeah, Hasbari, do you want to carry on?
Well, also I think it's an important point, Sadat, that we need to understand that I'd ask viewers to try and sort of capture something that one half of the dynamic duo did say in the text that in the video. He said essentially what Shia's belief is, they believe in this doctrine of imamate, which is no different to prophethood. It's just the name. It's just a nameplate. There really is nothing, in terms of the attributes, etc. Just like prophethood, there's no difference. So I thought, well, first of all, let's try and look at what do you guys actually believe? Is it, if we do hold this opinion that there's this rank of imamate, this excellent rank where you possess attributes, you possess excellences which are like those of prophets, having that belief, does that constitute you believing, does that in any way negate the concept of prophethood? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family being the seal of all prophets, does that in any way negate it? Is there a continuation of it? There are a number of references I thought which are relevant, which we're going to sort of quote today. There's this, because it's in my own collection, I thought it was important. I was speaking to 𝗧𝗪𝗓𝗍𝗪 and 𝗧𝗪𝗓𝗍𝗪 before we came on air, and I thought I haven't had the opportunity to share the scan, but I will do that separately. 𝗧𝗪𝗓𝗍𝗪, unless you can. I mean, I did share it earlier on, but essentially, it's, the reason I want to quote it is because Shah al-Shahid is regarded as one of their great scholars, who heavily influenced the Deobandi school of thought in his writings. He wrote a book called 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗎𝗎. So he talks about the topic of imamate in it, and this is the text, which is very important. And I'm just quoting from page 85 from the Urdu translation. Like I said, I have this book, so if anybody's looking for the scan, I can easily provide it. Some perfect people resemble prophets in one excellence, some resemble them in two, and some in more. Likewise, some resemble the prophets in all of the miracles, their skills. Therefore, imamate has a certain stage, and some people will be having a status higher than that of others in imamate. Hence, whoever resembles the prophets in all the skills and attributes, his imamate will be superior to all the perfect people. And there will be no difference between him and a prophet other than the status of prophethood. Brothers and sisters, remember this point and what the objection of one half of the dynamic duo was. Yeah, I'm just going to repeat that sentence. And there will be no difference in him and a prophet other than the status of prophethood. And if anyone would have got the status of prophethood after Prophet Muhammad, it would have been this perfect man. And it can be said of such a great individual that between the Prophet and him, other than the station of prophethood, there is no other difference, as said by the Prophet. And then he quotes two narrations. One, which is in their books, which is what they believe. If there had to be a prophet, if there was a prophet after me, it would have been Umar. Obviously, we don't accept that, but this is in your text, and he actually quotes this. Remember this, brothers and sisters. He's quoting this to show. Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Now, let's just say in a hypothetical situation, I'm a Deobandi, okay? And I want to believe that Umar is a prophet after Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, according to their principles.
And this text.
And in light of the Shahada they read for Thanvi and Chishti, I could technically say La ilaha illa Umar ibn Khattab Rasulullah.
Exactly. I hope no one takes this one out of context, like a cop cuts those words out and shares them anywhere. Let's say Dali's definitely lost it. but you see what I'm saying? But obviously then he also quotes the next narration that if there were Ali is to me as Harun is to Musa, except there'll be no prophet after me. So basically what he is saying, but it's important. You understand? He's saying that there is no difference. When a person, and the terminology in the Urdu, and I'm sure it's taken from the Persian, imamat mutlika. So it's that perfect type of imamat. One who attains that status, he attains all of the attributes of prophethood. The only difference is he's an Imam and the Prophet is a prophet. So now I'm telling you, if this was the text we presented to one half of the dynamic duo, which came down that day, and we asked him to read it and said, this is a Shia text, he'd be having a field day. He'd be saying, oh my word, the Eid has come early. Because this text is exactly, I mean, this would be his opportunity to say, oh, well, the Shias are apostates. Look at this text. This is one of your major scholars. 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗥𝗧 is one of your books.
Okay, you've added the extra one to it. Okay, cool. Amazing.
So I've just added it. It's just because I was going through my collection, and it came to me that this is an important text. And because I've used it, I know of it, and I thought, okay, let's have a quick translation of it. And it's very important.
Because I know Sayyid Zaidi, could you just endorse if they accept him?
Sayyid Shah Ismail is really well respected. We all know that, but Rashid Ahmad Gangohi in his fatwa has said that the book, like Shah Ismail, he has defended Shah Ismail a lot, and he has said about Taqwiyatul Iman specifically that this book is pure Islam. Like Taqwiyatul Iman is equal. Inshallah, we'll do a show on Taqwiyatul Iman too, but I'm just saying Taqwiyatul Iman is equal to pure Islam. So this shows how much the writing of Shah Ismail has an effect on Deobandi Islam.
Got it, yeah.
Right, and
Very
𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗎, 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗎 is a famous book of Shah Ismail. Even Deobandi scholars have mentioned that this book is written by Shah Ismail. Go ahead, Sayyid. Yeah.
But Hassan Bahari, before you continue, just want to make a point. Look, at the end of the day, look, scholars are humans. They make mistakes, okay? They make mistakes. It happens. If a certain scholar, for example, like 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗎 was to make the statement, it's not the Quran. We don't, it's not binding on us. Everything is based on evidence. And the fact of the matter is their scholars, on the other hand, they've made these statements, okay? These statements are problematic, especially when we know that their scholars, they never repented for it, and they got criticized, they got rebuked for it. Now they're stuck because, let's be realistic, there's going to be some sort of so-called response to even this show. They are going to try to justify their understanding of Khatam al-Nabiyyin. How ridiculous is that going to be? And in fact, look, if they even bring up evidences to suggest that, oh, well, Khatam al-Nabiyyin wasn't the first one to bring this up. Some of the old classical scholars held a similar position to believing this is what the word means. Then there's a bigger problem. Then the criticism doesn't just go on Deobandis. It goes to the wider, it goes more to the wider audience. Could you understand my point, Hassan Bahari, what I was trying to get at?
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, I think that I'm going to touch on that in our conclusion point anyway. But you see the irony of it is these guys have made a huge issue. That short video at Hyde Park, they thought they were really clever, bringing this sort of earth-shattering reference to say, oh, look at this, look at what the Shias believe. But you know what? That is the problem, that these guys, other than copying, cutting and paste from books of the 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗏 and 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏 and the other sort of Spice-Aba, modern day sort of the modern day clergy, they've not actually done their independent research. Had they done so, they would have learned that those references that you're quoting, they are virtually, obviously there's worse in terms of seal of prophethood, but when it comes to attributes and imamat and prophethood having no difference in terms of attributes, then it's also in your books. And really, if we carry on, I mean, I want to give a few more quotes on that. Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Tazir al-Nas, pages 2 to 3. Look what he says. Before replying, I wish to state firstly, sorry, apologies, brothers, I apologize. I was just going to quote Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Okay, so this is from his book, Indisar al-Islam, page 48. Khatam al-Nabiyyin says, therefore, the person who possesses this attribute, which is Khatam al-Sifat, seal of attributes, to a greater degree of manifestation, that is, there's no attribute above it or which has the possibility of being manifested and granted into the creation. Such a person amongst the creation is the Khatam al-Muratib, the seal of stations. and the person is the master of all and the most superior of all. So this is from Intisar al-Islam, page 48. Now, with that in mind, the Notvi Sahib says in Tazir al-Nas, page 5, the evidence for the claim is that the prophets, if they excel their ummah, then it is in the field of knowledge that they excel. As for good deeds, then sometimes an ummati, i.e. follower of that prophethood, of that prophet, at face value exceeds that prophet. So listen carefully. Sayyid Ali, you know, see this? In the field of knowledge they might excel, but in terms of good deeds, an adherent of that prophet might excel over him. So could you imagine that if that was read out at Hyde Park from a Shia book? This is from Tazir al-Nas, page 5.
As for good deeds, then sometimes an ummati at face value can exceed the prophet.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. We'll leave it at that then.
Okay, then we've got Rashid Ahmad Gangoi from Imdad al-Saluk, page 65. Because the Messenger of Allah has said, the scholars amongst his followers are like a prophet amongst his ummah. And apart from this, he said that the ulama of his ummah are like the prophets of Bani Israel. Note this one, please, viewers. The ulama of this ummah are like the prophets of Bani Israel. So notice that the scholars. So, you know, theoretically, the dynamic duo, if we take it at face value, their rank is just like the prophets of Bani Israel.
Sayyid. Inshallah, there will be one reference that Sayyid Ali will be presenting at. What does this ulama ummati afdala min anbiya bani Israel or something like this, the understanding of that, Sayyid Ali will share the scan about it. So sometimes there might be other explanation to the report, but inshallah, the explanation Sayyid Ali will be bringing up would show that they definitely believe in the literal sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sayyid Ali, do you want to bring it up now, or shall I finish my reading?
Say, just on a quick point, this particular narration, I understand that some of the scholars have weakened it, but they heavily
they relied upon it. It doesn't matter if the scholar said,
exactly.
Imam Ibn Jawzi said it, I think in the Mawdu'at said it was Mawdu, but it doesn't matter because they relied upon it.
Exactly, they relied upon it.
And he relied upon it, so game over.
Hassan Bukhari, if you can continue, I'll bring that up towards the end.
Okay, so we've got Maulana Muhammad Mia Sahab from Ulama Hind ka Shandar Mazi. If there is a difference, sorry, page 144. If there is a difference, then it is that Nabuwah is the original and Tajdeed, status of a reformer, is its shadow. In prophethood, Ilham is definite, that means inspiration, and is referred to as Wahi, whilst in Tajdeed it is Ilham, it is not definite. The rejecter of prophethood is excluded from Islam, while the rejecter of Mujaddid, a reformer, is excluded from rectification and righteousness. However, Mujaddiyat is an extreme manifestation of the light and brilliance of prophethood. This is because in terms of knowledge and deeds, the Mujaddid is the shadow of the Prophet, and in terms of character and morals, he is a sample of the Prophet. Note this very clearly. So what he's saying is, this station of a reformer is a shadow of prophethood. Exactly the same thing has been said by 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗓𝗕𝗏 al-Shahid in Mansab Imamat. He says that Imamat is zil risalatast. So Imamat is the shadow of prophethood. So essentially, if the dynamic duo were to find anything like that written in our books, and they obviously the text that they saw great pleasure from it. This is, if they sort of had the same sort of wording in our books, they'd be jumping up and down. Well, this is one of your scholars who says the rank of Mujaddid is a shadow of prophethood. In terms of character, morals, they have samples of the Prophet.
So he comes to Speaker's Corner, that Mulvi, and says we don't have a right to mention Imams because it's like prophets. What's this? At least we're open and we're saying Allah has chosen those Imams. Allah has given them miracles. Allah has given them knowledge derived from the Prophet. We're open. Look what you believe.
Yeah. But the irony of it is, had they bothered looking at their books, they would have come to those conclusions anyway. If your ordinary mullahs, yeah, can be the inheritors of the Prophet, in the sense that more superior to Bani Israel, what's the objection if we believe that our imams, we believe are appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only 12 of them, if we believe that about our prophets, our imams, you would be the first person to sort of jump up and down, to say, oh, look at this, what they're believing. They believe that their imams are superior to prophets. Well, you believe the same concept about your standard mullah in a madrasa, as per looking at it at face value, will have a rank of greater than the prophets of Bani Israel. And if we say that about our imams, you are the people that object.
That Mawlvi that came speaker's corner is greater than the Anbiya of Bani Israel.
Yeah. Exactly, he's greater than Hazrat Musa.
But one thing, would the prophets would be misquoting the Shia references? Like
the
not sure
exactly.
about this.
Their prophets from Deobandi would be misquoting 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗙𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗙 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗑𝗓𝗡.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then
misquoting the Shia kalma.
𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗡.
Exactly, don't even know Shia kalma. And so then I think I'm going to produce quite one last reference. Maulana Munazir Ahsan Gilani Sahab. The status of wilaya, sainthood, was overpowering within the person of Maulana Muhammad Qasim, and the status of the Nubuwa was within Maulana Gangohi. This is Sultana Qasmi, volume 1, page 477. So this is Gilani Sahab making a reference about Nanotwi Sahab and Gangohi Sahab, the two godfathers of Deoband. Listen carefully. The status of Wilaya was overpowering within the person of Maulana Qasim Nanotwi Sahab, and the status of Nabuwa was within Maulana Gangohi. So they possess now. Where do we go from here, guys? Where do we go?
Sayyid, there needs to be one subhanallah for this one,
Subhanallah. I think all of us, I think we should. Exactly.
Read that one properly. I'll do it properly.
I think it should be La ilaha illallah, Tanvi Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah, Chifti Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah, what is it? Danotvi Rasulullah?
Yeah, exactly.
Read that once more.
You know what? I don't want to recite these kalmas because I've got to go to sleep tonight, and I'm thinking people are going to misquote it in the morning.
What did he say?
But God forgive me, actually did write a statement of blasphemy, and I wouldn't need to recite the Shahada.
How do you say Zedi? How do you say it in Farsi? When you say kufr nabashid, what is it?
Kufr nabashid. That one. Kufr
nabashid.
There you go, innit? That's what it is, innit? So the status of sainthood, wilaya, was overpowering within the person of Maulana Muhammad Qasim. Oi hoi, oi hoi, oi hoi.
No. What I feel is No, what I'm saying is there might be a secret Ibn Sabah at that time that might have promoted this.
If that was Ibn Sabah as well.
Sayyid Ali would know that.
Was overpowering within the person of Maulana Muhammad Qasim. Oi hoi, oi hoi. And the station of Nabuwa within Maulana Gangohi. SubhanAllah.
Bro, but by the way, inshallah, we need to quote Arwah Salasa between Nanotwi and Gangohi, inshallah. How did they sleep together? Because, that kind of thing too, inshallah, in future.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
That reference though, man.
that would be for another time. We'll bring those gems out later. But to say that, because Sayyid Zadi just mentioned something about a text, Bani Israel, have you got that reference?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to bring it up.
Can you please quote that? Then I want to do a conclusion.
It's one I prepared earlier, last minute actually. But what's interesting here is Gangohi himself, if you actually look at some of the things that they've attributed to him, you would actually definitely think that there was some type of prophethood they're claiming for him.
Could you read that quotation you Sayyid Zadi? This last one.
Can you read it in Urdu?
Sayyid Zadi. Sayyid Zadi, किधर गए?
Yeah, Sayyid, yeah, inshallah. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it is Maulana Muhammad Qasim Sahab में शान विलायत का रंग गालिब था और मौलाना गंगोही में शान नबूवत का।
Well, yeah, but it's fine, you know. If we were to say this about the Imams or Ahlul, oh look, they're opening up. But anyway, let's come to this narration. This is a very.
Oh wow, we got more.
This is more. This is a. We leave this last one for we left this last one for the show.
This is too much fun, man. Deobandi should come down more often. This is too much fun, bro.
Yeah, so this is quite interesting because, you know, the Deobandi leaders have the Deobandis themselves. They have elevated their own leaders onto the level of prophets. They've even read the shahadas for them, you know. But this is interesting. Look at what the extremes that they've gone to. For example, Hassan Buhari mentioned the tradition about the ulama being the inheritors of the prophet's knowledge, and also the ulama are like the prophets of Bani Israel. And let's not forget who Bani Israel prophets included. They included the likes of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, who was given the Injil. Yeah, they even included the likes of Nabi Musa alayhi salam, who was included from the prophets of Bani Israel. So this tradition, which Hassan Buhari mentioned, is linked directly to this particular book, and this book is from Imdad al-Mushtaq, a very famous book. Those who are Deobandis will be familiar to it. Those who are not, just do some searching, you'll find out the status of this book. Within this book, it mentions the account of Ghazali, Ghazali being the famous Sufi scholar, mystic, generally respected within Sunni scholarship. Yeah. So
guys, before say it before you present, inshallah. We need to have Nara Ghazali after this.
Go ahead. I want to do one for Gangohi as well.
It says, it is told that on the night of Miraj, when Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam met Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Hazrat Musa asked, "How can you say that the scholars of my community are like the prophets of Bani Israel?" So this is like, astaghfirullah, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam is challenging the Holy Prophet and saying to him, how can you say the scholars of your community are like the prophets of Bani Israel? How can it be true? So Hazrat Hujjat al-Islam, proof of Islam, Imam Ghazali appeared. So remember, this is in Miraj. Okay, this is here.
Ghazali wasn't even born.
Well, okay, he appeared somehow, some sort of, okay, you know, okay, he appeared and he said salam with additional, with wa barakatuhu wa maghfiratuhu. And Hazrat Musa asked, why do you use such a long word in front of elders? And Imam Ghazali replied, Allah only asked you, what is this in your right hand, O Musa? When you gave such a long answer, this is my stick, I lean on it, I conduct my beasts with it, and it is also for other purposes. Prophet Muhammad said, be quiet, O Ghazali. Now, look, this passage is quite blasphemous. You can see that there's a type of alteration here, okay? And there's a type of disrespect as well, because, you know, let's be frank, anybody who disrespects a prophet in Islam, what do you call them? A Muslim? A Muslim? Do you call them a Muslim?
Of course not. You call them...
He is disrespecting Nabi.
You call them Deobandi.
Sorry?
You call them Deobandi if you disrespect prophets.
Okay. So what's interesting is that Ashraf Ali Thanvi, because I want to be fair, I don't want to misquote anything and afterwards be like, oh, well, you didn't read the part afterwards. Ashraf Ali Thanvi, what he says is, this must be a state in which Sufi reaches, so basically some type of illumination. This must be some type of illumination of a saint. And this mirage in which this dialogue occurred appeared to him through this mirage, meaning through this illumination, in which the souls gathered, and it's not the mirage of the prophets with his body. But look at this, What did it say at the start? It is told on the night of mirage. So Thanvi, had he pondered over the start of this particular passage, he would realize that what he's trying to see, you could see this is blatant taqiyya here. This is this is what you.
Oh gosh. Say it. But I wanna be mood spoiler, right? Ibn Taymiyyah, I have the quote in front of me. I have this book with me in front of me right now, but I just cannot give you the quote because I cannot screen share it. He says, وقد ذكرنا من ذلك طرف في رد على الاتحادية لما ذكرنا قول ابن سبعين وابن عربي وما يوجد في كلام أبي حامد ونحوه من هؤلاء الفلاسفة الملاحدة الذين يحرفون كلام الله ورسوله عن مواضعه كما فعل طائفة القرامطة الباطنية. So he says that within the kalam, like within the passages that Abu Hamid al-Ghazali has written, there are principles of atheism and atheism philosophers موجود. يعني it is there within the quotes that Abu Hamid in his book, and they are responsible for the tahrif of Allah's wording and Prophet's hadith, and they would, do the misinterpretation of the hadith in a way that goes with the principles of those that are atheist philosophers. So Abu Hamid Ghazali has passages in his books that suppose atheism as per Ibn Taymiyyah.
Yeah. Look, my intention here is not to mock anyone's belief. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I may come across a bit crude. I may have this slight little dig or joke. But look, again, we need to be consistent. If this exactly the same thing was written in our books about the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam, you'd make a mockery of it. You'd say, oh, look at them. They believe this. They believe that. For God's sake, I challenge you to produce one single Shia book, where it says that we have a shahada saying, there's no God but Allah and Ali is the messenger of Allah. Show me a single one, even if it's weak. These are concocted lies in your own books, and these are not just the fact that these are documented in your book. Your own scholars have endorsed this. Your own scholars held this opinion, and they promoted it, and they supported it. So how do you have the audacity to say that, well, there's no difference between Ahmadis and Shias? For God's sake, have some shame. Have some shame. You had no shame when it came to the wives of the Prophet. You had no shame when it come to falsely narrating narrations from our books. And again, you have no shame trying to justify such a ridiculous and blasphemous belief that Khatam al-Nabiyyin doesn't mean that the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, is the last and final messenger. That's my end note. I'm going to pass it back to you guys.
Thank you very much.
You still haven't given an answer for 𝗧𝗎𝗓𝗦, by the way. We're still waiting.
For that. We're still waiting.
Lion misquote.
Yeah,
we'll probably have to wait to the Day of Judgment for that one. Yeah. Right, so I want to do a conclusion, but does anybody else want to make any final comments before I have my final thought for the day?
No, I think we were going to do a show, but I think we've kind of stretched out a little. Inshallah, next week perhaps we can do a live show, and we can perhaps deal with some other questions and queries. So
okay. Thank you very much to all the brothers, Sayyid Zadi. Thank you very much, Sayyid Raza, Sayyid Ali. It was an interesting show. In a way, it was obviously it was a rebuttal to address the particular nonsense that was being said by the dynamic duo. Something? Sorry, Sayyid. Did anybody want to say something?
No. Carry on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that there's a terminology, as these brothers are from the north, and and I work with individuals from the north myself. It's a very old terminology that if they want someone to learn a lesson, they always use this term. It's called "that'll learn him." Well, brothers, that'll learn you. You need to understand that that'll learn him, because if you want to try to be clever, and if you want to try and bring these sort of books out, these quotations and astaghfirullah, ha ha ha, LOL, and all this nonsense that you're doing at Hyde Park, do look at your own books first, because we really didn't want to. We never contemplated doing this topic, but because you thought it was very funny to bring out the breastfeeding narration, you thought it was brilliant to bring out the Shias believing an extension of prophethood, you left us with no other choice. So this was our gift to you for today. Inshallah, we pray that in future you are more cautious, more honest with your quoting, and really that's about it. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening today. We hope you found the session useful. Share, like the page, share the videos. Obviously, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Insta. Please, the channel is only successful with your support. So please, we'll look to you to continue doing so. Thank you very much, all. So please keep us in your du'as as we shall keep you in our du'as. Assalamu alaikum.